Hi, this is Bill Fitzgerald, Vice President of Ecosystem and Growth for SandboxAQ. I'm excited to be coming to you live from our studios in Davos with Anthony Viel from Deloitte.
Thank you.
Anthony, thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, very, very much. This has been a wonderful and eventful Davos.
There's an understatement.
That's an understatement. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the firm's here to do, what you're here to do, and what you're hoping to get from it?
Deloitte, consultancy, auditors, accountants, if you will. 500,000 of us are around the world. We feel that part of our purpose and responsibility is to be, a responsible member of the, or a pillar within the communities in which we operate and live. And coming together here at Davos is about connecting with our networks from all around the world, including our clients, ecosystems, partners, if you will, and trying to learn a bit, share a bit, and then come away, together to advance towards a better world in one way, shape, or form. So we've been doing this for must be coming up on a decade, and it's been very successful for us.
Yeah, it's an amazing platform to just share in ideas and just various perspectives. I mean, the globalization of this particular event is amazing, and certainly a thematic throughout is AI, and its impact on the world. As you mentioned, one of the key properties of the WEF is social responsibility. We've seen an amazing ability to apply this to business and to our own personal lives. As a consultancy and an advisory firm that we globally look to in Deloitte, how are you as the firm thinking about the best way to advise your clients to deliver outcomes around this new technology?
Yeah, AI, it's intriguing. Like if you come to the Davos for a few years now, AI has been on the agenda for quite some time. Yeah. It's interesting with AI, it feels to me a more grounded positioning this year, which, for someone who has a little bit of a background on this, I wouldn't profess to be an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I've built analytics practices before, which, encompasses AI, if you will. So it's a bit more grounded this year, and we're a bit more focused. Yeah. So what we've learned internally, and I've sort of led this in my responsibility with Deloitte Canada and Chile, is to have a look at the way in which we operate, and then break down where the technology can actually significantly augment or replace tasks that we ask our people to do. The benchmark that we've set for ourselves is, as we've analysed every job that's existing within the Deloitte Canada, 15,000 people or thereabouts, we were able to ascertain that today the technology, if available and deployed and scaled correctly, could achieve a 20 to 40% freeing up of effort, if you will, by our individuals. We haven't got that yet. Yes. But that's the benchmark. Yep. When I talk to my leaders, I'm saying, give me at least 20%. Yeah. The theory says 20 to 40. Yeah. Give me at least 20. Here's your tool sets. Here's your resources that we've upskilled, reskilled, or super skilled. Come together, re-engineer the way we're actually doing things.
So what I'm hearing you say there too is that AI is now being held to the standard of the other recommendations that you would make in strategy, right? If you were to close a business line or consolidate the project, previously AI, to your point, was just everywhere, but now it's, no, if we were to consolidate a product line, we expect a 10 to 20% savings. Therefore, if we were to deploy AI, we have to be thinking about it the same way.
Exactly. And business leaders, particularly within, dare I say it, the office of the CFO, was asking, where's my money? Yeah, yeah. Where's the savings? Where's the impact? Yeah. And that's where I think the pivot point is, as we move from personal productivity to scaled impacts that actually show up somewhere on the financial statements. Yes. Either today or very shortly thereafter, tomorrow, but not 5 or 10 or 15 years into the future.
Yeah, we're excited about that next phase of AI at Sandbox. And so we think that in the large quantitative model opportunity, which is where we've generated and put most of our efforts, all of our efforts perhaps, that's where bringing in mathematical outcomes, real precision, explainability, and demonstrable proof points grounded in math will help solve the next next iteration of problems and get us perhaps out of the employee improvement area, but into new markets.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'll add another one to that as well.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we've seen in the last 12 months is a pivot away from that efficiency into growth. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt that the LLMs have been effective in that. Mm-hmm. Where more efficient decisions with a lot more insight. The point you're making here, and it comes back to the quantitative stuff, the math stuff, which is near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. That is where some of the big ticket items are that haven't been addressed.
Right.
LLMs are never going to do that.
Right.
And so these quantitative models that are now boosted like never before because of the increase in computational power, as a forerunner to the quantum leap that will come soon, sooner. Yeah. And that's another thing I've observed this year, like what was 5 years away last year is now 2 years away, which I'm sort of trying to do the math to go, it's clearly speeding up.
Yep.
But those quantitative models that enable you to forecast, optimize, operate, optimize those systems within your constraint and your risk boundaries, if you will. That is where the big ticket items are coming, or the big ticket opportunities, and we can see this playing out in certain industries in particular.
Yeah, what I'm hopeful for is large language models is such a new concept, and we're still blown away by the answers that we're getting and the ideas and the problems that it can solve. We hope that the celebration is not like a wow, look at that. The celebration is that helped me do something a lot quicker and more accurately. It's something they've been trying to do for weeks or for months.
I think that's the important part. Yeah. Something I've been trying to do for years.
Yes.
Because a lot of the theory on this has been around for decades. Yeah. I just haven't had the computer to go and do that. Things that you only wished you had a decade ago, you got now. And we haven't got to quantum yet. And when we get to quantum, they're just going to take another leap to the side.
And Anthony, that's something I think a lot about. How quantum computing has so much hype and so much excitement around it. And what I enjoy about it is while most people don't understand, what quantum computing is, the qubit, the electrons, and how it all works, they understand the principles and problems it can solve. And so the models that we've created in the LQM can solve very similar principles, but on a compute platform and capability that exists today. So yeah, you had mentioned earlier a bridge to quantum. I think we can deliver the excitement and the promise of quantum in now. Well, I know we can do it now versus having to wait, and then we further get the opportunity to expand when those compute capabilities come.
And I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
It is now.
Yeah, it
is happening now. We've got examples now.
Yeah.
That's not to say that quantum's not going to take us another leap forward, but the net here and now is much better than it was 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a reflection that the computational power has come along and we can utilize it in a different way.
Yeah, Anthony, thank you so much. This was an absolutely wonderful conversation. The firm at Deloitte representing the global interest of overall, we appreciate the dedication of your time, your interest, your people to stay connected to the technology world and to your business users. So thank you very much for spending the time with us today.